Okay, so in today's session, let's talk about roles concept in the Fusion applications. Okay, roles. So we know in EBS, if you want to access to any application related functionality, we use responsibility, right? With the help of responsibility, only user can have access to any application functionality to do the configuration or to perform the transactions. But in the Fusion, instead of responsibility, we use the roles concept. Okay, through role only user can get access to do any setups or to perform any transactions. So with the roles, whatever the access will provide to the users, that we call as RBAC, role based access control. Okay, we call as RBAC, role based access control. Do you think RBAC concept we have in EBS? Do we have RBAC in EBS, or it is there only in the Fusion? We have RBAC concept in EBS also, but the roles concept, role based access, we use only in web applications. Okay, for only web applications, we use the role based access control, where we can provision the roles and grants to the users to have access to certain area functionalities. So now cloud applications are say,
Correct me if I'm wrong. I thought role-based access is how it operates in 12.2 and later versions.
correct. But just I am comparing, just it's there in the EBS also, but limited to web applications. Okay, you can provision certain role access or grants to a specific user so that they'll have a certain privileges to do certain relevant actions. So in Fusion, the complete access for any user, any sort of permissions you want to give to perform any activity or any kind of transaction process or anything, we have to provision the access through roles only. Reason, all the applications in the Fusion web applications. So when you talk about roles, let's talk about what are the different type of roles we have in the Fusion applications. So we have basically roles like job roles. We'll compare these with EBS also. We have a duty roles. We have abstract roles. And we have a data roles. These are the four type of roles we have in the Fusion applications. So I guess somebody's on mute. Fine. So when it comes to EBS, in EBS we know very well, we have a concept called as menu, right? So menu consists of submenus. So if you want to give the access to any user, okay, say you want to allow one user to access the payables application, what we have to do? If you want to allow the user to access to payables, what we have to do is we have to create the responsibility, right? You have to create the responsibility. To responsibility, you have to assign your primary ledger or operating unit. Then finally, this responsibility you can assign to the user so that the user can access specific application through that responsibility. Say for example, the responsibility is AP responsibility. If it is AP responsibility, we'll assign the operating unit to AP responsibility. Along with that, we'll map the primary ledger also. Fine. So this is how we have in EBS. We have menu. Menu consists of submenu. Okay. If you want to give the access to any application for any user, any application access you want to provide to any user, what we have to do is we have to create the responsibility. To responsibility assign the operating unit or primary ledger. That completely depends. If it is real responsibility, we assign only primary ledger to the responsibility so that that user can have access to the application and they can record the transactions by connecting to the primary ledger or operating in it. If you compare the same with the Fusion job roles are exactly equal to menus. Okay, so menu consists of submenus. In the same way, job role is consist of duty roles. So if you take example AP menu, AP navigate GUI 12, right? So this is a AP main menu name. In the same way, Fusion, if you talk about job roles, for payables we have a job role called as accounts payable manager. So not only accounts payable manager, they given few other seeded job roles also. Okay. The same way, if you take example of submenu for this AP navigate GUI, you can take say AP invoices. That is submenu. In the same way here, duty role you can take as okay, payables invoices is one of the duty role. So same concept, but names they changed. In EBS you have a menu and a submenu. In Fusion you have a job role and duty role. So when you talk about menu, the menu consists of one or multiple submenus. In the same way, job role consists of one or multiple duty roles. Can we give the direct access to the user for specific menu? Say for example, I have a user 1. User 1 need access to AP navigate GUI 12. Can we assign this AP navigate GUI 12 menu to user 1? Is it possible or not in EBS? Can we assign menu to user? No, it is not. Then how you can provision the menu access to this user?
Using responsibility only.
Yes.
You have to tie up to responsibility.
Yes. We can create responsibility so that we can select menu into responsibility. So that responsibility we can assign to user so that that user through responsibility can have access to this menu. Of course, along with the menu, we can assign the request group also. Okay, we can select request group within the responsibility. But the point is, you cannot provision menu directly to the user. If you want to provision the menu access to any user, that is possible through responsibility. But in the Fusion, if you have a user called as XYZ, directly you can provision access to role. Role can be assigned to user directly. Whereas in EBS, menu cannot be assigned to the user directly. That can be assigned with the intermediate component called as responsibility. Through responsibility only menu can be connected with the user, but in Fusion, role can be assigned to user directly. This is the point we have to understand. Since role can be assigned to the user directly, no responsibility concept in the Fusion application. In EBS, menu cannot be assigned to the user. That is the reason we have a responsibility concept. Of course, through responsibility, we have some other benefits. Okay, that we can discuss maybe. Okay, this is the point. And in EBS, responsibility we can assign to user. When you assign the responsibility, within the responsibility, you may include request group also, which consists of reports. But in the Fusion, within the role itself, you can have all the functionalities as well as reports also. Here, menu consists of submenus and functions, right? The submenu consists of functions. The menu consists of submenus and functions. But here, role consists of duties, duty role, and within the duty role, equal to functions, we have a privileges. In EBS, we are calling as the functions. Here we call as privileges. Duty role consists of privileges. So all will be part of this role. But when you talk about responsibility, you can have a request group also. Request group consists of reports. So what we can do is in Fusion, within this role itself, we can have a duty role. Duty role will consist of privileges. Along with these privileges, you can have a privilege called as reports. Reports also you can include within the job role. Same as in EBS, reports access we can give to the user through responsibility by grouping the reports into request group. In Fusion, there is no request group concept. Any sort of privileges or reports access we can give to the user with the role concept only. We will be taking everything into role. The role will assign to the user so that user can, when the user has access to the role has access to which functions, mean to say which privileges and which reports the user can access. They can perform the relevant transactions and they can run the relevant reports, for which reports the user has access through role. So role is the primary component here for user access. Okay, so that is a point we have to understand when you compare job role and duty role. And one more point, can we assign submenu to, can we select submenu into responsibility? When you create the responsibility, can we select submenu directly into responsibility?
Yes.
We cannot.
Yes.
Directly we cannot select. If you want to create any responsibility to give the access to submenu, against the submenu, you have to create the main menu, right? I have AB invoices. Okay. If I want to give the access to this, that I should create as a menu. Within that, I can include AB invoices that I can associate to responsibility. The same logic is applicable in the Fusion also. Job roles you can assign to user, which is equal to main menu. Okay, or you can write it as a main menu. Please go on mute. Somebody is unmuted. Okay. So only main menu you can select into responsibility. In the same way, the job roles only you can assign to user. When it comes to duty roles you cannot assign to user. However, submenus you cannot select into responsibility. If you want to give the access to specific submenu, on top of this submenu you have to create the main menu that you can include in the responsibility. In the same way, if you want to give the access to specific duty role to any user, against the duty role you have to create the job role. In the definition you will create job role, but within that you will include only a duty role. Then that job role you can assign to user. It means job roles only we can assign to the user. However, we can create responsibility by selecting the main menu. Okay, even if you want to give access to submenu, with the same submenu you have to create the main menu. Then only you can assign give the access. Fine. So here, based on these 2 points, any questions from anyone, please? The other roles and the other logics we'll discuss, but here the job.
Yeah, this is this is Sanjay. If we want to restrict, I mean, if we want to give some specific duty roles, we need to customize these job roles.
Yeah, job roles and duty roles you can customize. However, you can create the custom menus in EBS.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can create the custom roles. It can be any role.
How about menu exclusion?
Yeah. So in EBS we have a menu exclusions, but in the Fusion we don't have that. What you can do is, say for example, you have a one menu. You have one role for certain functionality you don't want to give to specific user. In that case, you can copy the same role. Okay, you may create 2 copies or 3 copies, and for which functions you want to exclude, you can delete those. That you can assign to the user. Okay, they give you the option easily. You can copy and you can manage the role. However, it is required for your business users. Same as menu exclusions, we don't have in Fusion. It's all about you copy it, modify it as per your requirement, and assign to the user. No exclusions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Another question I have is for the certifications.
Will there be questions comparing to eBusiness Suite 12 or will everything be only towards Fusion?
No comparison with the EBS when you go for certification.
Okay, it's just for explaining you're using. Okay.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Any other questions here? Fine. And in EBS, we assign the responsibility to user. Before that, we assign primary ledger or operating unit to this responsibility. That means, reality, this primary ledger or operating unit, we are connecting with the menu through responsibility. Within the responsibility, we'll have a menu. Okay, when you assign something to responsibility, that would get connected to menu only, right? Similar to that, we have a concept called as this data roles. Data role is concept is similar to that. So data role means you will have a job role. Please go on mute. Please go on mute. So you'll have a job role. Say job role is nothing but accounts payable manager. So for this job role, you have to assign some data access. You have to provide data access. Data access is nothing but your ledger access or operating unit access or inventory access or your asset book access. Okay. So in EBS, whatever we call as operating unit. In EBS, we have operating unit. The same in Fusion we call as business unit. Okay, simply we call as BU. The name they changed. EBS operating unit in Fusion we call as business unit, BU. So data role means the job role which is connected with specific data. It could be your BU, business unit or primary ledger. The combination of job role and specific data object. Data object could be business unit or primary ledger or your inventory organization or your corporate book when you are dealing with the fixed assets. So this combination only we call as data roles. In the very initial versions, what Oracle it is, whenever you create your primary ledger, the primary ledger need to be assigned to which roles? To all the roles the primary ledger will get assigned automatically. Whenever you create the business unit need to be associated with which BU specific application related roles, the BU will get assigned automatically. So that we call as a data roles. That means when you create the primary ledger and business unit, the data roles would be created automatically by system. So that's how they given the functionality in the previous versions. This you could see up to release 11 version. Up to release 11, we have a data roles concept. From release 12, they stopped this data roles concept. So we have only these three type of roles only. Job roles, duty roles, data roles. Up to release 11, what happens? Say for example, you have a role called as, for accounts payables, you have a role called as accounts payable manager. And say you created one BU. Say BU name is ERPTREE US business unit. The moment you create the business unit, system will identify the BU specific applications what we have. Okay. To those applications, what are the different roles we have? To all the roles, the BU will get assigned. If you have accounts payables manager, system will assign the business unit to accounts payable manager. And if you have accounts receivables manager, to accounts receivables manager also system will assign our BU. Okay, that's how the automation they given up to release 11. And there are many issues with that automation, and even the BU is assigned to this role. The link, the connectivity is becoming invalid and all. That is the reason what they did is from release 12 onwards. Okay, even if you create the business unit or primary ledger or anything, system is not going to assign the primary ledger to those roles automatically. We have to assign through manual process. That means from release 12 onwards, we don't have any data roles concept. We don't have any data roles concept. we have only job role, duty role, and abstract role. Say when you talk about job role, it's a specific to application. Duty role also would be specific to application, which would be part of job role. When I talk about abstract role, this is common role where every user required it. Say for example, you have 10 users who are working for your payables department. When 10 users are working for your payables department, so the 10 users required access. When you say 10 users, 10 employees. 10 employees are working for payables department and 20 users are working for receivables department. Total 30 users means 30 employees. For 30 employees, say they need access to their employee data, employee details, their details, and they need access to pay slips. Okay, they need access to raise the requisitions if they need something in the organization. They need access to submitting the expense reports. So that means employee self-service access. This 30 employees who are working on the application as the users, they need access to certain information which we call as employee self-service access. So which users require access to employee self-service access? For those users, we have to provide the role called as abstract role only. The best example for abstract role is employee role. So employee role we call as abstract role. Okay. So any user, the user may work for payables department or receivables department or GL department, general ledger or assets or purchasing or sales department, any department let the user work. Okay, but if that every user is an employee in the organization, every employee need access to the certain details. To give the access to employee self-service access, we have one role called as employee. Not only employee, even we have few other roles which are related to HCM, human capital management related roles, falls under abstract role. Here, so this is a point we have to understand. Job roles are specific to application. The job role may refer payables or receivables or general ledger or any other application. Duty roles will be part of job roles. Definitely the duty roles also will point specific application. But when I talk about abstract role, employee, this entity belongs to HCM, but still this employee entity is required for all the users to provision this sort of access to all the employee. So abstract roles means it's a common role which need to be associated with all the users who are accessing the application to get employee self-service access. So that is nothing but abstract role. So these are the three type of roles we have in the current version. The latest version is release 13. Okay, the patch applications, latest patches and all those also we'll discuss once we get into the application. But the latest version is release 13. Fine. So we have three type of roles in the Fusion applications: job role, duty role, and abstract role. So all the time we'll assign the job roles to only users, and you can assign abstract role also directly to user to provision this sort of access to the user. That's it. Any questions on this point, please?
Yes. What about securing attributes and responsibility types? What are the equivalent of that here?
So equivalent to responsibility we discussed in EBS, in Fusion, in the initial releases up to release 11, the data roles concept they given. So equivalent to responsibility in Fusion from release 12, what we do is you have one user. To that user you want to provision the access to specific ledger. Okay, specific ledger. So in EBS case, what we'll do? I'll just give those two examples. In EBS, what we'll do is we'll have a
profile option.
Primary ledger, yes. Say primary ledger. This primary ledger, you will.
No. That I understood. Sorry. My question was, I mean, when you define responsibility, like for example, for I expenses, right? You do have something called securing attributes, which you can put like a person ID, HR person ID. That means they'll be able to query only their expense reports.
Those everything you can manage within the role.
Okay.
Role, you have those all the option whether that role need access to specific business unit or all the business units, or you want to map specific uh, entity information. Everything you can set up in the role itself. When you do the role customization, we'll go through all those points.
Okay,
Yep.
got it.
But anyway, this point,
So how about
understand? Yeah, please.
how about profile options? Because at
We have
responsibility level,
profile
we can
options in
assign.
Fusion. We have profile options in Fusion. The usage is very less. So the simple example, to complete the multi-org configuration in EBS, we use few key profile options, right? GL ledger name, MO operating unit, HR user type, HR business group, HR security profile, MO security profile. These are the basic profile options we use when you do the multi-org configuration. Equal to multi-org, in Fusion, we create enterprise structure. In Fusion, whatever we create the similar environment, we are not calling as multi-org. Here the name changed to enterprise structure. To create the same environment in the Fusion applications, you no need to use single profile option. Okay, you no need to use single profile option to establish that sort of environment. But still we have profile options, very limited usage where we can use, and all we'll see in our classes. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So in EBSA, you have a primary ledger, you have a GL responsibility. So finally, the GL responsibility assigned to user. How you connect primary ledger to responsibility by using the profile option. Yes, we have a name for that. That is GL ledger name. If you take the same logic in the Fusion, yes, we'll have a primary ledger. So that primary ledger, say you want to assign to specific role. Say you want to assign one of the GL role is general accountant, or say general accounting manager. This is one of the GL role. You want to assign the primary ledger to this role. If you want to associate this primary ledger to GL role, in EBS, the primary ledger you are connecting with the responsibility by using the profile option. With the help of profile option, we can assign the primary ledger to responsibility. But in the Fusion, if you want to connect, if you want to assign the primary ledger to role, you have to use security context. By using the security context, we can assign primary ledger to role. The security context is similar to profile option, but not profile option. It's a similar. Then you can associate this role to user. This is all you have to do in one go. In one more difference is the primary ledger you can assign to responsibility. Done. Say you assigned. 1 second. The primary ledger is assigned to this responsibility. Can you assign this responsibility to multiple users of this combination? Yes, you can do it. Okay, so you have a user 1, the user 2. You have 2 users. So this responsibility you can assign to 2 users. That means you are creating one set. What set? To this responsibility you are assigning this primary ledger with the profile option that you are connecting. This combination you can assign to multiple users. You can assign this responsibility to user 1, and the same responsibility you can assign to other user also. Multiple users you can assign. But in the Fusion, the primary ledger you are not assigning to this role separately. Primary ledger you are not assigning to this role separately. You are assigning this primary ledger to this role with the help of security context by selecting user only. That means this combination, the role which is connected to particular primary ledger, you cannot assign to multiple users as a set. If you want to assign this one primary ledger to same general accounting manager to different user, again you have to select primary ledger, you have to select the security context, you have to select the role, then you have to select the user. But in case of EBS, this is one set. Okay, that is one combination. If you assign the responsibility to responsibility, already primary ledger is associated, that means you are assigning responsibility which is already connected with the primary ledger. But in the Fusion, so if you are going to assign the role to user, only role will get assigned. Again, this connectivity cannot be assigned to that user. If any new user, if you want to assign this primary ledger and role, you have to select all these, and again you have to do it. There is no set same as EBS where responsibilities always will get connected to primary ledger. No, here without user selection, you cannot associate primary ledger with any role. So this is a point we have to understand. Any questions on this, please?
So Lakshman, if I have to consider AR as a module,
Okay.
in AR I have invoicing, that is billing. Then I have collections.
Yes.
And I have customers. So I can have one generic responsibility called as AR, and under that I can have various. So that becomes a AR super user.
Correct.
Okay, but then I have like a collection manager. I remove certain like exclusion I will have from the same responsibility.
Correct.
And for customer also I can have some exclusion as well as receipts. I can have.
You can do exclusion for anything. Yeah.
Yeah. So like that, but it has a main property which gets carried to each and every responsibility, each and every users. Here you are saying for each and every, you have to define for like each combination you have to define your separate record.
For every user, which role is required to the role, which primary ledger need to be connected, you have to set up. The combinations you cannot create same as EBS. In EBS, if you assign this primary ledger to this responsibility you can assign to 100 users. 100 users will have access to the primary ledger through this responsibility. But the same if you want to do in Fusion, you have to do it 100 times. That's it. Because this combination they are not giving. This combination they given in the previous versions, that only data role. So job
this will cause a problem for defining because you might forget some of the setups.
What setups?
Like say, for example, that responsibility, you define a certain profile or at application level or at a responsibility level. Those get the other is like the say collection, it inherits the property.
One point. That's what. In EBS, responsibility level, we will set the profile options. But here, for all this connectivity, no profile option concept. In Fusion, to do all this, no profile option is required. Directly provisioning the access to the user for particular role or particular ledger, or giving the access to specific role under specific BU. That's it. No profile option is required in Fusion to establish this sort of connectivity. Okay, in EBS, yes, we use profile options.
What are we setting up in the security context if we have to assign primary ledger for each user?
Yes, if it is a primary ledger, you can security context value is a primary ledger. Okay, if you want to assign the business unit, security context value is the business unit. See, if you select profile option called as profile option, you can select GL ledger name. In the same way, here you can select primary ledger or business unit or corporate book or inventory organization. Those values are security context values. Once you select the value, it will display the relevant all the whatever the BUs you created, whatever the primary ledgers you created, then you can select the value. Okay.
So we can say in some security context, we are just creating one security context for a particular ledger business unit.
We are not creating with a security contest. We are mapping the ledger with role, or else with the security contest you can map the business unit with a role, or with the security contest you can map inventory organization with the relevant role. This is
okay. So maybe when you see it in the screen, I can understand better.
correct.
Okay.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So a security context is like you can create combinations, right? Combinations of ledger and business units, and give it a name and then assign it.
Here, see, it's clear. The primary ledger you can map with a role with the help of security contest.
Okay.
You cannot create combinations primary ledger and business unit. You can create the combinations role and primary ledger, or role and business unit, and role and inventory organization, role and corporate book. Role and specific data combinations you can create.
So you mean to say each time if we want to assign a business unit, we need to repeat this?
Our accounts receivables role, we have to use security contest.
I mean, through security context, we can assign primary ledger as well as business unit as well as inventory of.
Yes, exactly.
That's
exactly.
you.
Yes.
Okay.
In EBS,
Okay.
with the profile option, we can assign the primary ledger or operating net to responsibility. In the same way, in Fusion, instead of profile option, we use security contest to assign. That's it. Instead of
So there'll be
role.
Yeah. So for user one, if you want to give primary ledger US, right? So we say primary ledger and the security context will be US,
Exactly.
general accounting manager.
Correct.
And again, we have to do another one for business unit. Security context will be US
business
operating unit.
No. Security context you will select as a business unit, then you will select the relevant value business unit name.
Right. And security context, you'll have the value, correct?
Correct.
And then you tie that to general accounting manager role, and then assign it to the same user one, correct?
Yes, correct.
So yeah, for one user or one responsibility, you can have 3 profile options. Here you have to do 3 times.
Yes,
for each
exactly.
of these.
That is the point I am telling. 3 times you have to do it. There is no other way.
Okay.
Yeah.
So security context can be like ledger, business unit. What was the other one you said?
Inventory organization and your corporate book or your budget. These are all. Okay. Whatever components user require access to perform the transactions, those are your security contests.
Only these 5 are allowed, right?
There are a few more. There are a few more once we get into application.
Okay, these are the main ones. Okay.
Yeah. But just I'm just giving these points for our understanding by comparing with EBS, how we have the same in EBS Fusion. That's it. Yeah.
What's the specific design flexibility does this provide? What's the flexibility in design does this particular security context provide to the overall definition of the?
It established the connectivity between the ledger and role, or it could be BU and role. It's a simple same as we assign the operating net or primary ledger to responsibility. The same mapping we are doing with the security context. It's helps us to map ledger with relevant roles, BU with relevant roles. That's it. So that when user will connect to that role, the user will be able to perform the transactions against that ledger or against that business unit.
So it's nothing but the profile option of our product.
Yeah, giving access to the user specific role and specific ledger or specific BU. That's it. We are provisioning the access to the user to role and do specific data. Data is nothing but ledger or BU or inventory or organization or corporate book or your budget definition or anything else.
Yeah, Lakshman, one other question. In e-business suite, we have something called business unit tied to HR.
Correct.
business units.
Correct.
So now we call it business unit, which is equivalent of operating unit. So
No,
what do we
no,
call
no.
business unit?
No. Oh, business unit here we have EBS business. Okay, you are not talking about business group. Okay. Yeah.
You meant business group, not business unit.
Yeah, you are
Got
talking
it.
about
Sorry. Yeah,
business
business
group
group.
or unit. When you say HR, yes, business group in EBS.
Right. So that remains the same, right?
No. That's totally different. I'm not talking about business group what we have in EBS. I'm
No.
talking
In
operating.
Fusion, that remains the same, right? That concept of business group.
No, there is small difference. That we'll discuss when we touch that concept. Okay.
Okay.
We'll talk about enterprise structure. There we'll discuss about in terms of enterprise structure and multi-org structure, what we have in EBS, what is the difference and what similarity we have.
Yeah.
Only the point is.
Sorry, I got confused with business group and business unit. That's fine.
Yeah, totally different. Okay. So EBS operating unit in Fusion we are calling as business unit. That's it.
So Lakshman, is there a visualization of enterprise or structure?
Yeah, we'll see that. When we discuss in that respective session, we'll go through all those details.
Okay.
Yep. I'll prepare one slide for that if you want to see that visualization. Ideally, normally we plan to have a discussion, but I'll prepare one slide so that it would be good for us to understand. We'll do that. Okay. So this is what.
So Lakshman,
yeah, please.
Lakshman, can you show this concept in the instance?
Yeah, we should do that. We should do that before we get into the application. Just I'm trying to introduce. Okay, directly.
Okay.
So we may not get exactly as we expect. That is the reason before we get into application, just I'm trying to introduce these points so that we'll aware. So once we start working on the application, everything will be known for us, and if anything is missing there, you can understand. Yeah, everything we'll do in the application. We create users, we assign the roles. Once we are ready with the primary ledger, we assign primary ledger to those roles. Everything we'll be doing in the sequence. It's just introduction.
Okay.
Yeah, we have to do that. Yeah. Fine. Okay. So this is all about roles concept. We have a three type of roles: job roles, duty role, abstract roles. So abstract duty roles are part of job roles. Abstract roles are common roles. Best example for abstract role is employee. So if you assign employee role to the user, so user specific privileges that employee can have, and the other job roles are very specific to application. All the time we can assign job roles only to the user. To the job roles only we assign primary ledger or business unit or anything else. Okay. So data roles we have, but in the older versions we have, so that you can ignore. And when you talk about application version, so we have, like in EBS we have 11A version, release 12 version. Okay, release 12 versions. These are the versions. So, but Fusion version is 11G. Okay, of course, 11G they have for database version also, but Fusion application version also 11G. But within the 11G version, we are calling as release 11, release 12, release 13. Within that version, we have releases that only we always use to address which application we are using. So when I talk about 11i, the last version which they stopped is 11.5.10.2. Sorry, 10.2. This is the last version. 11 is the series. These are the sub versions. The same way, release 12, there are many versions. Say 12.2.0, 12.1.3, 12.1 previous. There are many other latest versions also available, but this is a series. Just to address, this is a 12 series. In the Fusion, they started with version called as 11.0.0.0.0. This is how they started. Slowly they started within this 11G version, they started coming up with the new releases. So they started releasing, so 11 point, I'm just taking from 7 because from 7 only clients started using this Fusion. 7 is the release here. 11.7. 7 is the, this you call as release 7. R7, release 7. The same way 11.8.0.0. Okay, this is how after 8, 9, after 9, 10, after 10, 11. 11 means don't see this is 11. No, release this level. You can see this 11. After 11, they came up with 12, then 13. 13, sorry, 12 and 13. When you look at this Fusion instance, this is how you can find. Okay, this is all we have. It's 0 only. All like you can just 0. Okay. So the series, the version would be 11 only, but releases are different. Okay, that is the point we have to understand. So now the instance which you are going to use is release 13. 13 means 11.13. Okay, 11.13. And once you get into the application, I'll show you that patches, whatever they apply, in which year they applied the latest patches, and what is the patch A or B or C. Those that specifications also will go through, will understand. But the latest version is release 13. When you look at the instance by seeing this 11, don't think that is a release 11. Okay, Fusion version is 11. Within that, these are the releases: release 7, release 8, release 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Sorry? Sorry, somebody is unmuted and speaking. Please go ahead. If you have any questions here, please.
Lakshman, I have a quick question. Since this is a SaaS product, how many software releases does Oracle usually release every year?
So every year they are not doing in the very latest. I mean, when you take example of 2016, okay, almost in the year they came up with the 2 releases. Later every year 1 release and all. Now 13 from last 2 years they are not changing. Within 13 they are keep applying the patches. What is the latest patch applied on that instance also you can see along with the version. But now it's from 12 it is stabilized. They are not switching from one version to other version. They are standing on release 13, and the bug fixing and some kind of enhancements and everything they are doing with 13 only. So it's more than 2 years. So still they are continuing with 13, but latest patches they are applying. The instance which you are going to use, that is latest patch applied. That information also I'll show you once we get into the instance.
So does it mean that they have these point or dot releases outside a prescribed window of deployment?
Not releases so whatever earlier they did these all releases. Now from last 2 years 13, that is the release they given in the clients. So within the 13 only they are doing the patch applications, but they are not changing the 13. So they are addressing in the release 13 what is the latest patch applied. Okay, that they are not treating as a new release, just additional patch applications. That's it. Very soon they may come up with the release 14. We are not sure on that. Yeah.
So Lakshman, if you have a SaaS model, Oracle will take care of patching, yes, database as well as everything, application, right?
Yes.
everything, right?
Everything there.
And they won't will they inform you, or whenever there is a new patch, they'll straight like without checking with you, they'll apply?
No. See that it is going to, the patches are again, they'll classify which they have to apply to stabilize the product, or some technical patches they'll apply without our without giving any notice to us. Okay.
So we have no say in that, right? Like the
Yes.
customer cannot say that I don't want this patch.
Yes. Some upgrade patches,
Like it or not.
no, upgrade patches we have to request and they'll do it. The other patches they'll be doing by following certain intervals, which won't impact our configurations or any functionalities. Okay. So that they will do.
Yeah. Yeah, one question. If you scroll up, what's the difference between security context and data role? To me, it looks one and the same.
No. Fine. Security context is the one which will help us to connect primary ledger with role, and data role is the combination. In up to release 11, the data role is created directly without any security context. System would connect these two components. But 12 onwards, by using the security context, you have to connect these two. That's it.
No, like if you want to connect a role to one operating unit and in Fusions, one business unit and one ledger,
Okay.
you have to do 2 times for that user, right?
Exactly.
So can you create one data role, which is a combination of business unit and a primary ledger, and then just connect?
No, that you cannot.
Okay, but still I don't understand what a data role is then, what it is used for.
So, see, data role is the combination. See, I'll give you a few examples for data role. Say, accounts table manager, and say your business unit name is ERPTREE US business unit. So this is one of the data role. And the other data role is general accountant. It's one of the GL role. And your ledger is ERPTREE USA primary ledger. These two are the data roles. Now, this data role you can assign to user. This data role also you can assign to the user. Okay. Up to release 11, say you have a user 1. User 1 need access to accounts payable manager role and for US business unit. Okay. For US business unit. Now what you can do, this you can assign to this user, right?
Yeah.
Now from release 12 onwards, these data role system is not generating. They stop this practice. From release 12 onwards, in release 12 environment, user 1 we have. Same requirement. User 1 required access to accounts payables manager and ERPTREE US business unit. What you are going to do based on your
create a responsibility.
No.
Create a responsibility.
No responsibility in the Fusion. No, when you say R12, don't think EBS R12. Fusion release 12.
Oh, okay. Understand.
Yeah. What you are going to do based on your understanding?
You have to use the security context?
Yes, you have to take the role called as accounts payable manager, and this accounts payable manager you have to connect to business unit by using the security context. The security context you will connect.
So basically, data role and security context is one and the same. It's just that up to 11 release, they were using data role. After that, they started using
up
security.
to 11, there is no security context.
Right.
Yeah. From 12 to connect, we are using security context.
So in 12, we won't have data role, right? Data role is more
On 12,
obsolete.
you don't have data roles concept. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is how you have to connect. Now this you have to select the user also here. Up to 11, this combination you can assign to user, but here not assignment, selection only along with this combination. One time. All you have to select in one go. Clear? Fine. Any other questions here, please?
Actually, one question.
Please.
See, actually, before this cloud, we have lower instances, right? Like R12, we have lower instances like a Dev, QA, and like a Gold and all.
Correct.
So, how it would be in the Fusion, in the cloud?
Gold, etc.
Will they provide all the lower instances with the on-premises or a cloud?
Yes. In EBS, it's all about our interest, how many instances we have to maintain based on the requirement. Ideally, we maintain right test instance and development instance, dev instance, and production instance, prod instance. Ideally, these are 3 instances which we use for any project implementations. But in the Fusion, they'll provide only 2 instances. Okay, in Fusion instance, we call as pod, POD pod, like iPod we have, right? In the same way we call as pod. Cloud we call it as pod. They'll provide only 2 pods. Free pod, just simply you can say no, not require that. One is as a test pod, other one for production pod. 2 instances they provide. The instances we call pod in the Fusion, we get by default 2 only. One you can use for testing purpose, other one you can use for production. That's it. If you need additional instances, yes, you can get from Oracle. They will charge extra for that. But for any subscription, it could be only finance or SCM or many other applications. Only you get 2 pods. That's it. In case of EBS, we'll have a DBA in our hand. We can ask the DBA to create a number of instances. Okay, we can use for testing one, we can use for CRP one, for UAT you can use different, and development you can use one, and other some cloned environments you can clone instance you can ask DBA to create. This is how you can have a number of, and you can maintain. Totally depends on your server infrastructure and capability. You can have a number of instances, but here it's going to be cloud. Everything will be managed by Oracle. So you can get only 2, one for testing or for any other purpose you can use for CRPs, UATs or any other purpose. The other one is for production. Okay, this is how you can have landscape of instance.
In addition to that, one more question.
Yeah.
What about DR? See, customer may think about if something happened to our production environment. Generally, they'll think about DR, right?
No, the security and all, everything, everything Oracle will take care of it. Okay, the risk, except everything, whatever you have concerns, everything Oracle will take care of it. Okay, the backup, etc., everything Oracle will take care of it. We no need to worry about the instances once you take the subscription from Oracle.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Lakshman, on these versions what you talked about, the 11.13, right? R13.
Yes.
The instance what we had given, the demo instance where I looked at the about Oracle applications, where it's showing 11.13 point something, and also it says 19B.
Yeah, 19B is in 2019. 19B means in 2019. B is the patch, second patch which they applied.
Okay.
They'll give it as a 19.
But when we refer the instance, version of this particular instance, that should be R13 only, right?
But like this, 13, 11.13. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll show you. I'll show you once we get into the application. Once we start using the application, I'll show you from where you can check the version, and along with that, this 19BR, etc., whatever their address for our information, I'll take you through.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, thank you. So,
LAXMAN,
yeah.
quick question. For the instance or the pod names, did you mean test pod or test top?
So I'm sorry, pod only. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fine.
Pod. Yeah.
I have a follow-up question when on this topic, right? Have you seen any of your clients leverage agile methodology for rolling out cloud?
No.
Okay, so it's still waterfall.
Yes, it's see the methodology what we want to use. It's a completely that company PMO decision. Okay.
Agreed, but have you ever leveraged
No.
agile for ERP rollout?
Now see, the most of the cloud implementations are small and mid-sized clients are using. Okay, so those are not much complex to go with the different methodologies. It's a simple approach where most of the projects the clients uses UCM. I mean OUM, Oracle Unified Methodology. That is a methodology. Few clients, I mean, based on that consulting company, their practice, they use their own methodology where they use the templates from OEM, Oracle Unified Methodology, but the templates are used however they require, however they want.
So there's still a concept of a functional or MD50, CV, whatever.
Yes.
Right.
If you want to go with the MD50s and all, that is a AIM methodology that we can take decision almost with the release 12 also, EBS release 12 also. Those AIM methodology outdated, right? So that's what we have to take the decision on that.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. Any other questions from anyone, please?
Lakshman, yesterday you talked about these regions, right? In which, according to your region, the users can be connected to the nearest region.
Data center. Yes.
Data center. So there are some country-specific restrictions, the data regulation rules.
Yeah,
like for example,
yes, correct.
You're right. The general data protection regulation.
Correct.
So how Oracle do Oracle manage Oracle compliant for that data regulations? This is SaaS Fusion.
Okay, that how just Oracle is dealing with that respective countries and all, we are not very sure, but as a customer, you can take the privilege of that nearest data center access.
Okay.
Okay, yep. So any other questions based on these points?
Yeah, Lakshman, all the data resides with Oracle, right?
Yes.
So if there are two different companies, company A, company B, and tomorrow if they merge, is there a provision where you can have two ERPs into one?
No. Okay.
I think the question you want to ask is the other way around.
No,
so it's one company that wants to divest a particular wing of their business. So that is going to be challenging.
No. See, I think his question is, there is a company A who is using the Oracle Cloud application. There is another company B. They are also using the Fusion Cloud applications. So today or tomorrow A may acquire B. In that case, everything they can bring into one place. That environment, I mean, whatever the configuration, the applications we have, right? That is your question, right?
Yeah, right.
That's a big challenge.
Because the data resides with Oracle. Earlier, two different companies had two different hardware.
Here, challenge is data would be reside in Oracle only, but the different instances they use, different pods they use, since there are two different clients for Oracle.
No, but Lakshman, help me understand something, right? So I agree with you, two parts, but isn't it as simple as migrating them from a legacy application to the cloud? Yeah, although in this case, the legacy application is also a cloud application.
Yes, they can do that. They can do that, but again, how they are going to use that environment? I mean, the naming conventions are some business structure. I mean, enterprise structure. They want to change, or if they want to keep as is, yes, we have to check with Oracle on this point whether the same environment. Okay, the other instance, whatever we have, the same environment can be moved to the different client. That means B, whatever the instance they are using, the configuration data can be moved into the other instance which is used by A. Of course, these two will become two enterprise structures in the same instance. Whether that is possible or Oracle will support for the same or not, we have to see.
Oracle earlier they had come with a UID, GUID, where like you could have two separate databases residing on the same machine, two different companies, and you can merge them.
And through application process?
No, this was before release time. They had that particular in mind.
Okay. But we are not very sure. Like, we have to check with Oracle if that is the case.
But I think the point I was trying to make earlier still holds true. It would be challenging and interesting if a reverse merger or a divestiture happens.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. So if no questions for today, we can connect tomorrow. Okay. In tomorrow's session, we'll talk about user, and we'll see how to create the user within the application. We'll get introduced to the application, and
just the last basic query. So, what's the total timeline for this training? Means total
2 months,
duration?
Rahul. 2 months.
2 months. So
Yeah.
we are in September. So
Yes. By next month ending, we'll complete. If required, we may extend to 1 or 2 more weeks.
okay.
Yeah. Fine. Any other questions from anyone, please?
I'm good, thank you.
Yeah.
Talk to you tomorrow.
Yeah, sure. Okay, seems to no questions from anyone. That's all for today. We'll connect tomorrow same time, and tomorrow session we'll see that how the application looks like, and we'll have access, and we'll see how to create the user. Before creating the user, we'll talk about what are the different type of users we have, and what makes difference between that classification. Those points also we'll go through. Then we'll create the user within the application. Yeah. So if no questions, we can wind up for today. Thank you all. Have a good day and good night. Sorry. Yeah, please go ahead if you have any questions. Any questions?